Welcome to the Factor Uncensored. People around the U.S. are feeling mixed emotions about the current political climate. Today, the Supreme Court declared that former presidents have immunity for their official actions, of course, while in office. In the case of former, the court is referring to specifically former President Donald Trump's case, which is the subject at hand, his January 6th prosecution. Also, current President Biden has his own damn problems. Polls show an increasing number of voters don't think he should be running for re-election after last week's debate. Stop looking at me, Jolanda. Give me a chance to get to you. We get more on that later, but first, Trump. Joining me, Dr. David Branham from the University of Houston downtown. State Representatives Jolanda Jones and Ron Reynolds, conservative attorney Kevin Fulton, and Dr. Dietrich von Biedenfeld from Houston Community College. Glad to have you all here. So, Dr. Branham, we're going to begin with you, who is the expert in politics. What does all of this mean?
Well, it means that we're clarifying what it means to have protection or presidential immunity for carrying out their official duties. I think that's what the court is trying to do with this. The controversy comes because of Donald Trump himself and the controversial things that he's done while he's in office. But, you know, a presidential duty like President Barack Obama calling for the assassination of Osama bin Laden. President Obama needed this immunity when he did that because he was the only one in the room with the authority to make this call, and he needed to know that he could be protected from prosecution. The problem with Donald Trump is a lot of his actions are very controversial. Yeah. So a lot of people say
election
they're not.
Election interference, saying that the election wasn't real.
Yeah, I mean, it is okay for him to say that. But those other acts, those are controversial acts, and a lot of people say those are not official acts of the president. So this is what needs to be cleaned up with this decision, and it's a long way from being cleaned up with what came down from today from the Supreme Court.
All right, guys?
Well, a good point, first of all, is that it protects presidents, period. So I've seen the dissent is ridiculous. Oh, well, the president now can use Navy SEAL 6 to shoot their enemy. No, it specifically said within their official acts. All the Supreme Court said was, like when Biden leaves office, they said Trump's going to go after his enemies. When Biden leaves office, Trump can't, if he's president, can't then use the DOJ to prosecute him for the horrendous withdrawal in Afghanistan where people died. It protects presidents from making decisions where the next president can then prosecute them personally in court. That's all it did.
It's a dark day for this country. The Supreme Court abandoned precedent for the U.S. Constitution that said no one is above the law, not even the President of the United States. It made a president a king, and the dissent was spot on when Justice Sotomayor said that now you can order Navy SEAL Team 6 to assassinate a political rival. Guess what? You can be immune. This is totally unprecedented, and I can't even believe that the Supreme Court even stooped this low. Now not even the MAGA court.
Now what I
MAGA court. You got. I love when they go in MAGA courts.
What I can't believe is that there's a comparison to President Obama ordering the assassination of Osama bin Laden, who definitely was an enemy of the United States and all the citizens, to Trump not wanting to leave office, and for him having an insurrection and treason. And
but is that because Justice Sotomayor brought it up, and many people now are comparing it?
I don't know about Justice Sotomayor bringing anything up. I have my own brain because I'm a nerd. Remember that, right?
There you go. There you
I think people are anchoring this Justice Sotomayor in that sense, though.
But you don't have to be on the Supreme Court to know, especially if you've been a 30-year lawyer like me, that to give the president immunity from official acts. I mean, now he's trying to go back and undo the state conviction.
That's correct.
With Stormy Daniels. And hold your horses. And that he was not president then.
Then it won't work.
Right, but he's trying. But here's what I don't understand.
Okay.
I don't understand why, since Trump has appointed all these crazy lawyers to the Supreme Court or judges to the Supreme Court, that they have literally created a court that okays everything Trump does.
Absolutely.
That is a problem.
That is.
That is a huge problem. And let me be clear. when we lose civil liberties, the first people that lose them are black people, brown people, poor people, women, and all those things. And Trump has already said he's going to be a dictator and he's going to exact political revenge on people. That is crazy. It makes no sense.
Then this law is perfect.
The president should not be able to be a convict in chief.
Well, you know what? Then it's perfect. If he's going to go against his enemies, then don't you want presidential immunity for people like Biden when they leave office?
No.
You literally are saying Trump is going to go after his enemies.
No, I don't want him in office in the first place. He said that
those were Trump's words.
Well, you may not want him in office. You may not, but looking at that debate, that's who you're going to have.
Time, guys, one at a time.
We ain't voting for no debater. We voting for the president.
Right, who's awake 6 hours a day.
You know what?
So as long as something happens,
lies 24 hours a day.
Potentially based on this.
At least he can remember how to lie, because at this point, I have a president who's up 6 hours.
Guys, hold on.
When their lips are moving,
one at a time.
they're lying.
Dietrich, you ain't got nothing to say?
I mean, I find this fascinating because
we'll come back with you in just a moment, since you took so long. Don't be afraid here on The Factor. Come back to The Factor Uncensored. We're talking about former President Donald Trump, and now we're talking about Joe Biden and the dilemma he's facing. But if Dr. Dietrich von Biedenfeld from Houston Community College, if you want to address Trump first before we get to Biden.
Again, and I don't want to get between the official acts right here and their immunity, because if there are fisticuffs, you know, they're going to be immune. But, you know, I think we've got this perilous pendulum of pandering in the Supreme Court, where we see the threat of microphones, cameras, and other things really incentivizing bad behaviors by justices on both sides of the aisle, where they're trying to write opinions that really elicit public sympathy as opposed to writing based on the law. And it doesn't matter which side of the aisle you're on, invoking SEAL Team 6 in terms of official acts, we have precedent. The only reason that we have 2 terms is because George Washington set that individually. That's not something that was written in the Constitution initially. So we have these behaviors that we've now sort of normalized, but we haven't codified them. So this Supreme Court is saying, no, we don't want Biden to go after Trump, or we don't want Trump to go after Biden. But the threat is that in these instances, if we sort of conflate all of these individual instances, that individuals will act with impunity. We already have Nepo babies on both sides of the aisle. I don't care who you're voting for. You've got children making millions of dollars on finger paintings, hotel deals in China. So just look at the facts. But at the end of the day, I think the Supreme Court is really pushing this idea of, hey, you voted for these U.S. senators who appointed us when they didn't even listen to Alito's answer on stare decisis. They didn't listen to that answer.
Dr. Brenham, you were shaking your head when he said that Supreme Court justices are writing popular opinions to elicit public opinion.
Oh, I think is definitely the case with Sotomayor's opinion. I mean, this is to alarm the public.
She's a Democrat who said SEAL Team 6.
Well, she's not technically a Democrat on the court.
She is a damn Democrat.
But, yeah, I mean, this is to, you know, saying the president's going to be a king and so forth. But at the end, she did say, this court says there's nothing to worry about. I hope they're right. And I think they will be right in the end. There's a lot more to go with figuring out how to define what official acts are.
All right, we got 90 seconds with Biden, 30 seconds, Yolanda, 30 seconds, 30 seconds.
So first of all, we're not voting on debaters. We're voting on presidents. President Biden appointed Ketanji Jackson. President Biden relieved billions of dollars of student loan debt. I could go on and on and on about why we should vote for him. The thing we know about Trump is he's anti-black, he's anti-immigrant, he's anti-woman, he's vindictive, he's a criminal, he's a philanderer, and I could keep on with a whole bunch of negative adjectives, and we don't need him as president.
All right, Kevin Fulton.
Yeah, real quick, I normally go after Biden, and Yolanda almost makes me want to. But I literally am starting to feel sorry for him. But looking at him on the debate, he should be at home enjoying his time with his kids. Shouldn't be running for president. We're literally looking at now a presidential weekend at Bernie's. This has to stop. He is not ready to be president.
All right, thank you guys for joining us. Ron, you were going to have some, Melinda.
I'll take
Malia shut you down.
I'll take an old Biden over a convicted Trump any day of the week.
All right, still.